All right, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Wow, it is day 3 of the 3-day portfolio challenge. I'm Azara. I am your event facilitator, and I cannot tell you how proud I am of all the work that you've been doing so far. You have scoped a strong project that was back on day 1. You built the core of your analysis on day 2. And now today we get to transform all of that into something that's polished and professional and that's ready to get out into the world. And this is actually the part that most learners skip. You're going to find that out as Maggie starts breaking it down. But it's also a key part of what makes hiring managers even notice you in the first place. So it can actually make the difference between even being noticed or not. And we're even going to get a chance to see the original portfolio that Maggie used to land her very first data job. So please make sure that you stick around for that little peek behind the scenes. This is really where your work is going to stop looking like practice and start looking like real professional experience. So let's get into the fun part. I'm going to send it over to you, Maggie.
Thank you, Azara. Hope everybody's doing well. I woke up with a little bit of sore throat today, so I hope you don't mind my microphone's a little bit closer to my face. And yesterday I said I would post on my LinkedIn the free link for my course on coding with Cursor on LinkedIn Learning, and I did that. So make sure you check it out if you or one of the people that indicated interest. I did post that link, and it's now available for free. I believe the way it works is that it's only going to be free for the next 24 hours. So definitely check it out. And yeah, I'm not going to forget to share my screen today. Let me do that right now. There it is. Excuse me. Okay. Day 3. A quick recap of what happened in the last 2 days. So on day 1, I talked about how to get started on your data science portfolio, where to find ideas, what are some of the common pitfalls that you can avoid, mistakes that I made when I was making my data science portfolio, some project ideas, where to find data. And on day 2, I talked about a spider framework, which is how you present your individual project and how you would do your data analysis with AI. And now it's day 3. We're going to talk about how to package all of your projects together once you have ideally 3 to 5 really solid projects done. Then where can you host your portfolio? What are some of the good elements that you can have in your portfolio website? I put together a couple of examples that I was able to find on the internet, and we'll just go through people's portfolio and kind of look at it together. Talking about what's next before then I can show you the actual portfolio that I built that got me hired right out of undergrad a couple years ago. So just diving right into it, one of the biggest or like the most frequently asked question is where do I host my portfolio? And there are so many options out there. I'll go through a couple of them with you today. But the most important thing really is um, just deciding on one, picking one that makes sense right now and build something and put it out there as soon as possible and then iterate on it as you go, instead of choosing the perfect one, because there is no perfect portfolio hosting websites. They all have their pros and cons. So first up is the one you probably heard most common is GitHub Pages. So GitHub Pages is part of GitHub. So think of GitHub as where you would like host your repository of code. But GitHub Pages is a static website that can connect to your GitHub very seamlessly and can host your live projects. So the pros of GitHub Pages is it is free. You get one site, I believe, with your GitHub account. And your GitHub Pages can automatically post from your GitHub repos. It's great for technical roles because building a GitHub Pages can be a project on its own, building a portfolio website. And it's easy to add Jupyter notebooks if you're looking for any role with coding involved. Then this is really great to showcase all of your code, your dashboards, your demos, README files, and there are so many resources and so many templates available that you can modify and customize from. The cons of GitHub Pages, especially for data science professional, is that the learning curve, there is a bit of a learning curve. First of all, if you're not familiar with Git or GitHub, and second of all, if you're not familiar with HTML or JavaScript, you will have to, the standard approach is to code in HTML and JavaScript, which could be fun if you have the time to just pick up another language, especially with AI. It makes it so much easier to learn by doing. But if this is something that you want to do right away and you're not comfortable with these languages, this might not be the easiest way to go. And if you need inspirations, there are so many templates, like I mentioned before, on GitHub itself. If you search like the hashtag portfolio website, actually over here. Hold on. Can you see my screen? Yes, you can. Yes. So if you go to this website, github.com/topics portfolio website, there are 25,000 GitHub public repositories matching this topic. Some of the ones that are up top are like most start, they're templates. For example, the academic pages.github.io, it's a pretty good template for if you're in academia because I think there's a live page where you can show here. Because you don't have to worry about like what components you want to put on your site. You can just change the text, add your profile, add your name, your bio, make sure all the links are there. And then there is a place for publications, your research papers, talks, teaching, portfolio, projects, blog post, CV, and guide. So templates like this are extremely helpful depending on your use case. You just have to be mindful of who this template is for. So like this is obviously for people who want to advance in academia. And then you have this one, which is a bit more general and generic. I don't know if I can find the live site. Yeah, but this is what it would look like. You would have a bio of your picture right when you open your site, and then a little bit of introduction. And again, you have all of your projects, publications, repositories, everything you want to showcase there. It's pretty easy, I would say relatively easy to change any of these things if, again, you're familiar with a little bit of the language or HTML and JavaScript in general. As you can see, these are all coded in not Python, language data science professional would typically use. But yeah, this is definitely a really good resource to go into if you need some inspirations on how to build your website. And if you are not comfortable with HTML and JavaScript, but still want to use the GitHub and GitHub Pages combination, this is exactly the framework that I follow to build my data science portfolio, which is a bunch of things. It's Blogdown plus Hugo plus GitHub Pages plus Netlify plus RStudio. And I'll go into that in a bit. But this is great if you understand how to code in R, because essentially what R Blogdown is, it's a package that allow you to create static sites with our Markdown language and some of HTML and JavaScript and CSS if you want to customize it further. When I was in school, my entire statistics degree was taught in R, a little bit unfortunately. So I understood R. This was the perfect mean median for me to build my portfolio website in. And then I learned Python after that. So how this workflow goes is you have here is, oh, sorry. Okay, you have your remote GitHub repository. This is where you store your code, and then you connect your remote GitHub repository in the cloud with a local RStudio clone that lives on your computer. That's where you change everything and kind of see the changes. You still have the RStudio interface. Also, I should mention that some industries, I would say, some certain industries still use R instead of Python for data science capabilities. For example, public health is one of them, and biostatistics. Anything with like health and biology, they tend to still use R. So if you are interested in those fields, this is a really, really good choice to go, and it's very well documented as well. So once you have your local RStudio clone, the Blogdown is where you would create website with R. This is what it looks like for the documentation. So essentially, this was created by 3 university professors who worked a lot with R, and they want to be able to build websites with R. And so they created this whole package. And everything's, yeah, extremely well documented. If you need to find anything like how you can connect your RStudio development interface, how can you do like basic functions, formatting, it's all here. Next, we have Netlify. Netlify is where I was able to build and host my portfolio project for free. And this is also what the three people, the Blockdown people, recommended that you should use. It actually works really nicely together. Netlify has a free tier that would allow you to pull directly from Git and it has a seamless integration with Git and GitHub. And lastly, we have Hugo. And this is really important because with Hugo, you don't have to build your template. You don't have to build your website from scratch. You can pick a template that's already existing and just kind of modify it. This is what I did as well when I was in school. So this is all of their Hugo templates that you can download and copy from and pull it directly into your local environment. And for the tags on the side, they had one called Portfolio or Personal. They're both very good. Oh, Portfolio. Yeah, so if you were to go into any of them, you'd be able to see what it looks like with this demo site. And again, similar to the GitHub Pages template, all you have to do is change descriptions about yourself and input your project in. Yeah, I believe back in the day, I pulled from one of these portfolio templates and changed things to make it mine and showcase my personality. So definitely play around with this. Again, another really good resources. All of these links will be made available to you in the community, and the slides will be available to you as well. And I decided I would dig around and find the exact tutorial I followed, and I was able to find it. It was this one written by Allison Hill, one of the builders behind Blockdown. The only concern that I would have with this approach is that it is a little bit outdated. Here. Yeah, so I built mine in 2021, and this hasn't been updated since 2021. But it does showcase exactly step by step what you need. You need RStudio, you need GitHub, and how do you go from start to finish. Let me just pull the slide back up again. Okay, there you go. Yeah, so it is a little bit outdated, but I did see on their GitHub repository that they made some recent changes as well, and they're making still changes as they go. So it's not a dead project at all, and it's still really good resources if you know R. Again, and I remember having so much fun and pain and just like debugging until 2 in the morning without AI back in the days and trying to learn a new language, playing around. I learned a lot about HTML and CSS when I change this line of code here. Let me go check on the local website what actually changes. So that was actually a really fun experience for me, and I was able to talk about it as a project on its own and how I was able to learn a language as I was doing. So yeah, if you're interested, I still recommend this is a pretty good way to go. Next is Notion. So Notion wasn't an option. They were already a company, but it wasn't really an option when I was building my website, portfolio website. It wasn't on my radar at all. But Notion has advanced so much over the past couple of years since the pandemic. And now this is actually what I recommend most, especially for someone who is looking for maybe a data analyst position or someone who doesn't have the time to pick up a little bit of HTML. This doesn't require you to code at all. And as long as you have your projects together, you can actually put together some really well presented website. And so some of the pros here are it's easy to maintain. If you're not familiar with Notion, it's kind of like Google Doc. You can start a page. You can add in all kinds of elements. You can embed files, integrations with YouTube videos and a lot of other softwares. And it does pair well with GitHub as well because you can easily post a link in and you'll have a preview of your GitHub. And then there is also a publish feature on Notion where if you have a page and you can have nested pages as well. So you can have a main page with your picture, your bio, and then you can have a bunch of other. I have some examples I'll show you a little bit later on how you would fit everything together on a Notion page, but you can publish right from your Notion. So you get a link that then you can put in your resume. And when they click on it, they would go directly to your Notion. So you don't have to worry about, for example, hosting on Netlify or hosting with additional provider. The cons is it's definitely not as much customized option that's available. Obviously, if you're not coding, you're relying on whatever their UI provides. But they do also have code snippets where you can put code in and it would show up on the page a little bit differently, indicating that it's code. So I think that's already very helpful if you're trying to separate out your visualizations with your text, with your code. Oh, and this website here, it's super. I just found this website when I was doing the research for this presentation. Super is a tool that can turn your Notion document into a website. Again, you probably don't need this since Notion already has a publishing feature. But if you want to insert like your own custom domain or make it fully customized, you can use something like this, where I believe they also have a free tier. Yes, the free tier doesn't include the domain, but you're able to turn your Notion pages into an actual static website. There are a few more options as well. So Carrd is one of them. It is just a really simple site generator. That you can use. And again, it has all of these built-in templates that you can choose from. Yeah, as long as you have a project ready, you'll be able to input everything in. So Carrd is a really good option as well. It's free. Okay, and then we have datascienceportfolio.io. This website was designed exclusively by a data professional because, yeah, he was going through the trouble himself for publishing a website as a data science professional. And so he built an entire platform and tool to help you. This is also free. The only downside of this website is that there's very, very limited customization available. So you get what you see and you just put in your own pictures and projects and don't have to worry about any of the UI designs. Okay. A couple of other mediums that I actually don't recommend. I think you should consider all of the options that I've talked about before first. So PDF used to be on my top like 5 list before Notion was a thing, but PDF is just has such a low barrier of entry. Anybody can make a Word document and turn them into a PDF, and then you can link it to your Google or GitHub. It's still an option if you're in a rush and don't want to get Notion, for example, and just want to put something quickly there. Same with actually skipping the second one to LinkedIn. You can post, there is a section on your LinkedIn profile where it says, I believe, featured. So you can put in websites or you can link your projects. So that's where you can also, if you don't have time, to link a lot of them on LinkedIn. Drag and drop websites, it's an option, but I don't recommend just because you have to pay a monthly subscription fee when there are so many other free resources available. And it just it's a great way to showcase your personality without coding. If you know what if you have in mind a kind of design that you want to go with, but also it just adds extra complexity and time and energy that may or may not make a big difference. And finally, vibe coded websites is something new that is an option. I like vibe coded websites because, again, this can be a project on its own. You can say you have experience with vibe coding by building your website, and the two pretty good tools right now for building your portfolio website from start to finish is Replit and V0. And I believe they both have free tier, free trial with a certain amount of credits as well. If you just want to put in a prompt and see what it spits out, just keep in mind that the more detailed your input is, the better your website will come out to be. And if you kind of figuring out what you want as you go, it's going to waste a lot of credit and you may not get in the end the things that you want. So just be very mindful. Okay. And I have put together a list of examples and resources that I'd like to quickly go through. And I'll make this available to everyone as well. Let me just make it a little bit bigger so you can see better. All right. So we've already gone through a couple of these. This first one, github.com, is where the 25,000 public repositories lie. And definitely check out at least the first 10 most starred ones. And then this is the tutorial I followed for R Blockdown. With R Blockdown and R Bind is that you can also get a personalized URL with Blockdown. The way I did it, I don't know if they still do it this way, which is a little bit old fashioned, is you go into their GitHub repository of rbind, and then you start a pull request, and then you tell them what you want your URL to be. It has to be something.rbind.io. And if that name is still available, they would then grant your request and make that available to you. Yeah, we went through, this is another tutorial for building with R Blockdown. We've gone through the Hugo templates that you can look through, as well as data science portfolio.io and card. I have a couple of GitHub examples. These are just things I found that were publicly available online of other people's data science portfolio projects. So, for example, this is a really good place for housing your repositories, right? Because you can tell when you first get into this page, you see a bunch of projects, but you don't really understand who this person is until you scroll down a little bit more, and then you can see more of what the projects are about. But I hope you can see that this is not a great way to link to your portfolio, because like if hiring manager sees it and they're like, okay, which one am I going to click on? You should hope that each one is just as good as the other, whatever they click on. And these don't have, I don't believe this person put it on there as their portfolio, but it doesn't have pictures, doesn't have anything that hook you in, doesn't tell you who you are as a person. And that's why this GitHub should be just a repository. And this is a great example of what that repository can look like. Yeah, okay. So this is another example of somebody's portfolio. I really like this one because it does put everything together nicely. Like for your projects, you're able to see the separation of project instead of a long list. And the picture is definitely doing its job on telling you, okay, this one is about grocery, and this one is about I don't know, like airline or customer churn, random forest. Okay, I don't actually know what this one's about. But aircraft engine, that's all pretty obvious. And comparing that, I'm not going to go through all of them. You will have the access to this link, so um, check them out at your own time. So this is a template. This is a GitHub page example. Oh, this is the other template that I also showed. Okay, so they're all, okay, I did say they're all templates here. I believe this is a template as well, but this is an example of what you can host with GitHub pages and on Netlify. Things like this is like just so cute, and I would not be able to code it myself in HTML or JavaScript or whatever the language is using. But because it's a template, I can just change things and it will work perfectly. Yeah, so this I include this link here because it was a pretty good example of your portfolio. If you have your face there, your name, who you are, and then on the top is your about section. They can easily click on different things. The only thing I didn't like about this was projects under more. So depending on where your need are, you should definitely move up or down some of these categories and make sure that project is available up there as well. Or block down. A few of the examples I really, really like for other people's R-bind. Okay. This one is no longer active. It was still active yesterday. It's actually weird it's taking so long to load. Maybe something's going on with our bind server. Okay, I'll come back to that. So Notion, I was able to find also a couple of people's Notion template or Notion website they built that we can all learn something from. Brian's data portfolio is a really good example of what Notion is capable of, because a lot of time when people think of Notion and think they know Notion, it's just pages within pages, but you can actually put in different components in here. And on the side with Notion, if you do your markdown correctly and have different titles, it's going to give you like a table of content that's interactive. Projects, I would include some pictures here just to separate out the projects a little bit more. But within each project, he did a really good job on sort of the introduction piece, what data that he used, what analysis he did, what are some of the results, and next steps. So these are some great example to learn from. Okay, here's another data science portfolio that I found. I think it's a little bit obvious, like it's a block of text, and that's what you don't want. Is you always want to separate out block of text with either titles, pictures, code, visualization, or something else. So here I have to look for this person's name and what they were doing. Their expertise is much better if you use like some sort of formatting within Notion, where it's kind of like a tag format. I think there was another example that would showcase this. Yeah, so this is like way better if you are using, for example, just icons and it pops out right away out of the page. And definitely include a picture of yours in future projects. This is a great example to learn from. I also found a couple of personal websites. I don't know how they built them, but they were able to slap on a custom URL. So not all of these people are, just keep in mind, not all of those people are building these for data science portfolios. This is a personal blog, and it's doing a great job showcasing what she can do. I can tell, like, I really, really love the setup of this. Everything that she has done is in Tableau. And so she's putting all of these visualizations on the screen. And when you hover over it, you can see what it's about. When you click on it, it takes you to the Tableau site, I believe, to see what she built, which is really cool. And it fits with her profile as well, because I saw somewhere she was a consulting analyst, but also a data visualization specialist. Let me just go back and check on. Yeah, so these are some of the Arbind data that Arbind website that didn't load before. Isabella's is good. Picture, name, a blog of who you are, all the links, your link to your resume as well as all your project. I follow something very similar to this. I'll show you towards the end, where you can just click on different things. Like I had data visualization, different group your projects together. So depending on what role you're looking for, you don't have to tailor your website to each kind of role. They can just pick and choose themselves whether machine learning is more important to them or if analysis was more important to them. Okay, so yeah, this will be available to you. You can take a look. And I hope that gives you a pretty good understanding of good and not so good components of a data science portfolio. And I think it's maybe a good time to, I see a question in the chat. What would you use if you wanted to display a dynamic portfolio? So my top two choices are, I think, Notion and GitHub Pages. They're both dynamic, and even the page, the example that I showed you before with Notion, you can still click on table of content. You're able to click on different things, and it was still dynamic and not a static like PDF would be. Okay, so before we walk through the portfolio I used to land data job right out of college, I want to just zoom out for a second and talk about what your next step can look like after this presentation, after this 3-day life challenge. I think we've learned a lot together over the past 3 years. You've scoped a real meaningful project, we found data together, and you've seen how to turn that plan and the framework into analysis that can showcase your problem solving and thinking skills. And today you learned, we've gone through together a couple of portfolios and walked through what's so good and not so good about them, so they can look professional, look clean, and tailor to whatever you want to showcase. And if you're feeling like your brain is very full right now, I've stuffed in a lot of information over the past 3 days, and we've covered just so much. I also know that this challenge may have brought up a mix of feelings for you. Maybe you're excited because you can finally see what the project looked like. Maybe you're a little overwhelmed, and wondering how you can take what you learned and build an entire portfolio while you're working, studying, parenting, and doing all of the 1,000 other things you have going on in your life. Or if you had the kind of structure, maybe you can progress faster. And if any of that resonates with you at all, this is exactly what I created the new program that I have for. And before we go into more details, I want to be fully transparent and really honest with you, letting you in on that. I absolutely hate selling, and selling makes me really uncomfortable. I just want to provide free content all the time. But this program, what the team and I have been working hard, really hard behind the scenes the past few months, and especially the past few weeks, because we want to create the most amount of value possible for those of you who can benefit from the extra support, the extra accountability. And I really want to make sure that what I've created will benefit the right person and provide all the values that you need out of this program and out of me, what I can offer. And I've been in your shoes exactly, lived these transformation, didn't have master's, PhD, and I was the only person hired on the team without those degrees because of my portfolio. I could see what a good portfolio can do to my career, and I want that happen to all of you as well. Also, over the past 2 years, I've learned all the best practices from working with LinkedIn Learning on 3 separate data and AI courses and working really closely with their expert producers who do this for a living. And I took away all I can from them. So I'm really excited to introduce you to the program. So throughout the program, we're going to build an entire portfolio. That means 3 to 5 polished and professional looking projects. You're proud to share. The time commitment is 5 to 10 hours per week for that 4-week duration. We'll also go beyond portfolios and address any concerns you have regarding any other aspects of interview. So you're ready when they start coming in. Sorry, I just got distracted by a comment. I think Stephania, thank you. She says, go for it, Maggie, selling and helping others. Thank you. Most of the time for this program, we'll be focused on building good projects, but I'll also help you build on visibility on LinkedIn so you don't have to be applying all the time. And you're going to track those opportunities, feeling confident in your skills and how to talk about your portfolio during interviews. I did apply to like over 100 jobs and had a lot of interviews when I was out of school, but the actual job that I ended up landing was someone who actually found me on my LinkedIn and saw my portfolio and reached out to me on LinkedIn. So I'll be there every step of the way to make sure that you have the right structure, the right support, and that's exactly what this cohort is all about. So this is a 4-week program guided starting next week, the Wednesday, the 26th, next Wednesday, and it will go for 4 weeks for Wednesday before Christmas. So you can enjoy your Christmas knowing that you've built a portfolio and ready to start applying to whether it's internship or whether it's all of your job needs. And over these 4 weeks, we will choose and scope the right mix of project for you and for your target roles. We build and document them with a repeatable workflow. We'll package them into professional deliverables, and then we'll position you to talk about them more confidently, whether that's helping, practicing with AI, help practice with each other, with me together, how you can talk about these projects in your interview and application process. And because I know you're probably wondering what's actually included in the VIP cohort, that makes it possible to do all of this in just 4 weeks. I want to just quickly walk you through everything that is included in the cohort experience. So first of all is the portfolio playbook course. This is my full step-by-step system for building great portfolio in a course form. So you can return to it as much as you need to while you're building out your portfolio. If you like the event the past few days, you get a similar type of instruction from this video, except you can go back to it always and do it at your own pace. And I can only cramp so much in for the 3 days. There are a lot more depth and a lot more details in this course on exactly how to choose scope, build, document, and present your projects. And the full value of the portfolio playbook course is $400. You also get the data source list. This is for people who might need inspirations on what makes a good portfolio data set and where to find them, but also don't want to waste your precious hours hunting for data sets when you can use your time so much better on building out projects and practicing them for interviews. So I curated a list of high quality real world data sources organized by industry and can be used for a variety of data roles from data analyst to data scientists, data engineers. So you can start building right away with data that actually supports what you're passionate about or the industry you want to go in. And the data source list is valued at $220. The third resource you get is the VIP Vault, which solves the blank page problem, like where do I start? You get everything you need to stay organized and clear on your next steps, including a workbook to guide you through the SPIDER framework and crucial self-audit tools like project readiness checklist and screening criteria audit to go through what recruiters are actually looking for during a talent search, and the LinkedIn audit checklist, so you're sure your presence is strong on this key platform. all of these resources, and as well as things that I see come up, questions like I asked on my social media channels, I'll continue to build out this VIP vault, and you'll get access to not only these, but also whatever I'm building out as I go and come across common problems that people are facing who are walking through your journey together. And the value of this vault on its own, it's $360 currently. The fourth resource that you get is the community support. So you are not building in isolation anymore. You'll be in a private community with other learners and other career switchers who are working towards the same goal. This is where you can share your progress, ask me questions, learn from each other, and get encouragement on days you just feel like you might stall out. Over time, you can start seeing familiar faces who show up to the same live video calls as you, who are active in the group chat. And you can start build a network as well of people who are just as ambitious and as hardworking as you. And this is a high touch expert supported community, currently valued at $120 per month. The fifth resource you get as part of the VIP cohort is live events. Every week of the cohort, we have full-length live workshops to help with your specific questions. I believe they should be tailored to what you're looking for, and we're keeping this cohort small for that reason. Figure out where you're stuck and learn from other people, plus additional live lectures similar to what you've been attending in the past couple of days, along with discussions. And these calls are where we're going to troubleshoot, refine, push your projects across the finish line together. And the total value for the 4 in-depth workshop plus 12 live sessions over the course of 4 weeks is at $24.80. The sixth resource that you will be getting is my ongoing hands-on support. This is asynchronous coaching. So this is where I'm in the weeds with you. When you have a data picked out, you're wondering, should I use this? Is this a good question that I can solve? Then I will asynchronously look at your data, look at the questions that you have, and I'll review your work where you have data selected, a presentation, and everything in between, and give you feedback that you can act upon. And I'm also going to be answering your deeper questions with a ton of details and a lot of just knowledge from my personal experience and experience helping hundreds of thousands of other people in the past. And I'm giving you that targeted feedback asynchronously throughout the entire program for the 4 weeks, as much as you need them. So this level of anytime targeted in-depth coaching is valued at $14.80 per month. And for resource number 7, just to make sure I'm packing as much one-on-one value into this experience as possible, because everybody's building their own different portfolio projects. And especially for my founding cohort, I'm including a final portfolio review for every member who submits their portfolio at the end of the program. I'll give you clear, actionable feedback on what's strong and what needs to be tweaked to be fully ready. And think of it as your final confidence check before, put your hard work in front of the employers. And that review is valued at $330. So with all that being said, that's 12 independent resources, and support system provided to you, including everything in that VIP vault, as well as workshops, full course, community full of peers, direct hands-on support from me, in synchronous review, and everything we just covered. If you were to piece all of these program elements together, the total value comes out to $5,390. But I want to put this opportunity in the hands of as many of you as possible. And I know so many of you come from my Instagram, from my YouTube, and you've been supporting me for a very long time. So I'm slashing that price down to $3,000, and that's going to be the normal ongoing price for the VIP cohort experience. However, as a member of the founding cohort, and a big, huge thank you for everyone who's joining me in this challenge. I genuinely hope you got so much value out of the 3-day portfolio free challenge, which my team and I have put so much work into. You're not paying the $3,000. The special price for you is $1,997, and that's roughly 1/3 of the actual monetary value of everything you get as part of the program. And this price is only available for the next 24 hours, after which it will increase. So take advantage of that discount, the 2/3 of the total value, because you showed up over the past 3 days, and you've definitely earned it. So I want like the energy that you bring into the life and that you bring into the community has been so amazing. I want your energy in the founding cohort. To put this into even clearer context, you will make back this investment the first month you land your next data job or your first data job or your internship or your new job. And with the founding cohort discount, this is the lowest price point the program will ever be, which is the next 24 hours. And it will never be as low as this again. So if you've been following along and maybe thinking you have some time to think over it if you want, but it is going to be the lowest again for this cohort. And if you want to join me now or learn more, you can check out the QR code on the screen. And Azara is also going to be dropping the link in the chat. Thank you, Azara. You've been so helpful. This is the right time to join if you are fresh out of school, or if you're shifting to a new career, or maybe you're finally getting serious about breaking into data and you have the skills, but none of these assets you need for a strong application, or if you're tired of waiting around for things to be perfect before you apply, or if you're just ready to be done, like just be done with building already so you can move on to actually getting interviews, then I would highly, highly recommend considering the VIP cohort. And I want to make that decision feel safe. So if you join the cohort and within the first 7 days you decide it's not the right fit for you for whatever reason, I'll happily give you a refund. I want you to get the value out of it for you. So check out that QR code or the link in the chat for more information. And with that being said, I would love to show you the portfolio that got me hired. Oh, sorry, that was my music. Okay. The portfolio that got me hired. Yes. Okay. Here it is. This is my portfolio exactly from 2021 that I have not touched. It's a little cringy to see the hello world, but at the time I really, really believed that it showcased who I was fresh out of school. So I wanted people to first see this when they come onto my portfolio. And then if you scroll down, then that's a picture of 10-year younger me in there with a quick description. My research interests lie at the intersection of spatial statistics and data visualization, human-computer interaction. Feel emotional even reading back to who I was when I was younger. I have previous professional and academic experience with predictive Bayesian modeling, spatial analysis, interactive map design, database management, and engineering consulting. My career goal is to leverage spatial data and visualization design principles to generate data-driven insights in the area of social impact and business decisions. I fully wrote that myself, but these days with AI, I think you can write probably a little bit better than what I did. And always make sure that you want to include your resume and your CV, which is a clickable link. Okay. And then your picture. So if I were to do this again, I don't think I would have this hello world thing as the first thing that people see. Probably right away, your little blurb about who you are, where you're going, and all of the links, your GitHub link, your LinkedIn, how can people reach you, how can they reach you, and your interest. This is what I meant when I was talking about having this in tags. So it's very obvious instead of like a giant blob. So I know I put in a paragraph here about spatial analysis, but I also indicated under interest, just very few bullet points. Something else you should have if you're looking for a technical role is your language. Yeah, and here I put JavaScript and HTML at the very end because I'm less confident about them, but I fully learned them through the experience of building this website. And yesterday I mentioned I asked the amount of customizability is amazing with our blog down. And I asked people to write good words about me. I think there were, and I couldn't remember the word yesterday. and I still don't remember the word today. Anyways, these are some of the people I've worked with in the past who are at the time had access to me, which were my professors. So some Dr. Bensky said Maggie was extremely strong students to be able to quickly focus on solving problem. And I really love the options we can customize. So you can add things like this that people probably don't typically expect in a portfolio website. That's going to add credibility to what you are doing and who you are. And further down, I have certificates I had at the time. And yeah, fruit themed. I really, really liked the fruit themed back then. So everything was fruit themed. I think it showed a bit of my personality. And I do think that your portfolio should show who you are as well. Up top, I have about section, projects, resume, and contact. I think that's all I needed. For projects, people click on it. I had about 10 projects on here. Depending on, I think, the kind of role you're looking for. If you're looking for everything in one area or in multiple areas, you can have more project if you have the time for it. And I put in individual tags as well, like R. These are done in R. These were involving maps because I was looking for geospatial roles. These are the data visualization projects that I had done, some of the research projects that I had done, and the ones that involved statistical and machine learning models. Okay, we can go into a couple of them. For example, this one, statistical proof that COVID-19 is not just like the flu. And I did Bayesian predictive modeling where I take into consideration of death mortality data from the past 10 years with a seasonal variation. So like in the wintertime, it's going to go up, summertime is going to go down. And if it was continuing that trend, like generally it's trending up. But if we're continuing that trend, it still wouldn't go as high as the actual data that we're seeing today. And so this is what this project was about. A little section about why I wanted to work on this and what are some of the hypotheses I had for this project. And I went into detail about methods. It's a little bit of a code that I had for the model in R. And I had a couple of different results and I assigned them with numbers so it's easy to follow. But looking back, I do think that, like, for example, this block of code is way too long and does not have to be there and does not have to take up the entire page. And I can definitely make this a lot shorter. Yeah, so this is one of the projects that I did. Maybe another one is good example would be, there's one I did for movies. This is a visualization I created in JavaScript. And because the JavaScript visualization itself is a project, so that's the end result, I didn't write as much, down under it because all they need to focus on really is like this project. Sorry, this visualization. So after this visualization, all I explained was the context around it. What are some of the problems? Why did I try to solve this problem? And how can you use this for your benefit? Mm. Yeah, this was a purely data visualization project. I wanted to show the movies that critics loved, but audience really didn't. Yeah, I did say that this was a passion project, and I don't think I was able to find anything practical about this project. But yeah. Yeah, so this is what I had. I also had a resume section where, in addition to the full page resume, I also had experience where they can easily look through, understand the kind of awards I got, which I don't think anybody really cares about awards, but like your experience and your education. And last but not least, they have a place where they can contact me. All right. From here on, you have two paths. So after the challenge, one is you can go off and try to build the rest of your portfolio alone. And I have so much respect for that. I did it by myself in my bedroom during COVID, and I've learned so much from it. It took me a long time. I made a bunch of mistakes. I second guessed a lot of things and spent a lot of late night trying to figure out the tweaks and little things in there. Or the other option is if you are ready to build your portfolio right now, and if you are serious about bringing into data with your portfolio, then you can get it with the 360 degree of support in my program. Just before we wrap up, because I know we're almost at time here, just a couple of more questions. How much time do I need each week? So if you can commit 1 to 2 focused hours per day or roughly 5 to 10 hours per week, I know we all have a lot of other things to do, you should be able to stay on track. And I designed the system to be efficient and structured and clear so you know what the next step is, and you don't have to spend any time on wondering, am I doing this right? Or what should I do next? Do I need to be at a certain skill level to join? And I think this is a super important question. It came up yesterday. Yeah, it came up yesterday at the Q&A as well. You don't need to be an expert or have years of professional experience to join the cohort. Most people who have worked with me before are either new grads or people who are switching their careers. But what you do need as a prerequisite is some level of foundational technical skills for the roles that you're targeting. So for example, if you're going for data analyst roles, you probably don't need to know Python, but you should know how to work with data in your preferred tools, so like Excel, Tableau, SQL. These are some of the things that you should have a foundation on. And if you're targeting data scientists or machine learning roles, you should have understanding of Python, SQL, statistics, machine learning. You don't have to be a expert in everything. And again, I am here to help you with the accountability, with the framework, with the reviews and the support, but I'm not an expert in every model in data science. Like I've personally never worked with NLP models, for example. I've learned it in school, but I never worked it in a work environment. That wasn't the field I was in. But I would do my best to help you with AI. I think is it taking a lot less time to learn something new by doing. So I'll do my best to help you with that. But again, you need some level of foundational skills that you're coming in the program with so you can actually build out the projects. What if I fall behind or can't attend live? That's totally understandable. We all have lives. Every workshop will be recorded just like this one, uploaded, easy to replay. With that being said, you should try your best to come to our live sessions because it's going to depend on the type of questions asked and topics covered. It's going to be tailored towards those people who show up, and everybody has individual needs. So you can still ask me questions asynchronously in the chat. You have access to me all the time, but the live is going to be tailored towards people who do show up. And I know a lot of people are in different time zones, are in different parts of the world. So it's not, all the lives are not going to be at the same time, like this 3-day challenge where everything was at 11 a.m. It's not going to be at 11 a.m. EST. So once the cohort admission closes, I'm going to send out a survey asking you where you're based, what your time availability looks like, so that I can vary the cohort time, like the live time each day, to try to accommodate to as many people as possible and as many time zones as possible. For me personally, I'm on the East Coast, but anywhere from like my 5 a.m. in the morning to midnight. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 5 a.m. in the morning or midnight. I don't mind preparing lives and presenting. Yeah, that answered your question. Perfect. Will I get individual help from you? Yes. Inside the cohort, you get personalized feedback from me, and that's basically the entire premise I'm building this cohort on is that each person should build their own portfolio projects that's tailored to them, so it doesn't look like everybody else's. So you will get individual help from me, and you can post your work anytime. You get a response with targeted notes. Every workshop includes opportunities for you to ask questions. We can slow down a lot than this past 3 days and really look at what you're working on, what you're stuck on, and do some live troubleshooting that could also help other people on the call who, for example, are going through the same problem as you are. Is the investment worth it? And this is a very, very real question. Your portfolio is the piece. I hope I have convinced you with my own personal story and other I've seen sitting on the hiring side of the table that your portfolio is so important, especially when you lack that industry experience, especially when you're fresh out of school, and especially when you're coming from a different field like teaching, consulting, nursing, who do not work with data on a day-to-day basis, and you want to have your portfolio projects on your resume so you can pass that initial ATS, the screening process, with all the keywords you need from a nursing background, for example, to break into your first data role. And so after the cohort is over, you have that portfolio, as well as we're going to practice your portfolio together with some of the AI prompts as well, how you can answer the questions that might come up during interviews. You also get the final review from me, a community supportive system, all the tools that you need. And from that perspective, the VIP cohort is the foundation of your job search. And it's also very likely that the first truly confident professional step you be taking towards your new career in data, which you may or may not be already familiar with. Yeah, and as a reminder, this is definitely the lowest price you'll ever be. You'll be making this investment back as soon as you get that data job. The last question I have here is, what if I don't have all my data set or project ideas yet? That's actually a perfect place to start, because week one, the entire week one, is dedicated to choosing and scoping your 3 to 5 projects together before you go out and build them. You get the full dataset library with my curated list. You get the idea generator templates, the scoping framework, live help, and a community. So don't worry if you don't have your dataset or project ideas, we can fully come up with them together and try to understand what you're passionate about and which field you want to go into, and we can go from there. Okay, that's everything I've prepared for this presentation. And if you have more questions, you can always ask them in the challenge community. And if you think that maybe this was what you have been looking for, maybe this is what you want more of, the accountability piece, then I encourage you to listen to that, and you can follow the QR code on the screen or click on the link that Azara is going to drop in the chat to learn more about joining these VIP cohort. And of course, you can always reach me as well. If you have any question you want to ask me personally, you can email me with the email on screen, maggie@portfoliomethod.io. Just a couple of final reminders, like the cohort runs for 4 weeks. The special challenge pricing is only available for the next 24 hours until tomorrow at noon. And I'm so excited to see you out here. I hope you got as much value as you wanted to out of these 3-day free portfolio challenge. And don't forget that you still have access to the challenge community until next Wednesday is when we're going to shut the challenge community down. So you can still ask me questions there until then. If you want to finish up on your project or you have any questions, I'm still going to be checking the community until next Wednesday. So if not, then I will see you all on my social media, where I'll continue to share free content on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much, Maggie. And also thanks so much to everyone here for joining us. I know I speak for the whole team when I say that we're really excited for you to have access to these amazing resources, as well as the replays from the past 3 days in the challenge community. So make sure that you use them until the community is going to get limited a little bit. We're really looking forward to seeing those of you who need that extra support and guidance in the founding VIP cohort as well. Super pumped. Many people do end up staying stuck in a learning loop, but you showed up and you took action and you're actually building something that's real. And we just want to acknowledge that's really huge. So congratulations for doing that. And remember that enrollment in the cohort is now officially open. It's only for a short period of time because we're jumping right in next week. That's when it kicks off. And your special challenge price is only available, as Maggie just said, for 24 hours starting right now. So keep going. Your work deserves to be seen. And we really hope to see you in the cohort. We're really looking forward to it. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.